Ever feel like you're the only one with questions about life? Well, you're not alone.
Welcome to People in the Room here on PAL Radio 96.9 FM. Every Friday at 11 a.m. where we dive into the topics that matter most to you. We are talking about what is on your mind, from faith to friendships, work to wellness.
It's real talk, real faith, and real answers. You're not just listening, you're part of the conversation.
What's up, guys? What up? It's another beautiful day to come and hear from the people in the room. This is a podcast that airs every Friday at 11 a.m. and every Saturday at 3 in the p.m. My name is Maureen Njuguna, and the people in the room are...
David Baraka. Again.
It's the gas was the applause of Sony.
And here we are back yet again. Part 2.
Yeah, part 2.
We promised a part 2, and here we are.
Yes.
So, Gen Zs and the church.
Yeah.
Yes.
And last time we had a very heated conversation. We had a very heated discussion, and we looked at various things about if the church is accommodating Gen Zs. And we saw Apollos, our gas master here, told us that his church that lights up the city.
Yeah.
If you know, you know.
That's what's up.
Yeah, it's one of the churches that gives an example of people accommodating Gen Zs in the church, and it's really amazing. But what the church is doing is really amazing.
Yeah.
Tunakwanga very big beneficiaries of the events you guys hold, the pop-up praise and all those things. Ingine inakuja lini?
Enough of my church. Let's talk about your churches.
Hey, mine is still, we're still serving the Lord.
Yeah.
Moving on. Tuliachia kwa introduce things in the church.
Yes.
Yeah, out here, like the lights and all those things. Baraka ni alikuwa ametuachia hapo, so I would want him to like take up from where he left off so that we may move on swiftly.
Okay, so this is what I was saying. Majority of the things that are from, let's say, they started outside the world, and like the example that I gave, like lights, they did not really start in church. But now they are in churches. Things like AC, people love those churches. People are drawn to those kind of churches. Nowadays, people, I'm not trying to say that those are the churches that still the grace of God hasn't made them to reach there at this particular moment, that they are lower than those other churches.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say is that people love comfortability in church. Yeah. So if things like lights and ACs are coming from this outside part, why do a genre of music, when it comes to the church, it's a trouble. It's bringing a lot of questions, and yet this is the reason is the church should not be for this older generation that is there. Yes, we love them. We want them to be in church to show us the way, and just let God use them. But still, we want to feel accommodated. We want to stay in the church because we are the next church.
Yeah.
So if some things align with our generation, and we can incorporate them in church, I don't think it should be an issue. That's why I was saying that if a certain genre or a certain style of music, that even a certain style of dance, as long as it's brought to church and you're doing it with the idea of praising God, as long as you're not singing with any other intentions, I think it's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Allow me to segue the conversation a little bit.
All right.
Segue is like shift the conversation, but still in the same topic.
It's okay.
But we segue a little bit of the conversation and talk about something that has been happening recently in the 254 with even the recent march that was that happened this week. That's the anniversary of the Gen Zs who went to be the Lord last year on the 25th and everything. If you remember clearly, there was a whole fuss that was created last week about like why is the church silent and quiet and everything. So I feel like it's something that's touched a lot because like this whole protest that were happening, they're related with the Gen Zs.
True.
And now this is Gen Zs and
the
church. And I remember even like last year, a time like this, there were a whole hashtag of let's occupy churches as the Gen Zs.
Yeah.
Because at that particular point, I felt like the Gen Zs were feeling like the church is not seeing them, is not understanding them,
Yeah.
and they need to be on the forefront of vocalizing this, whatever is happening, and speaking against injustice that is happening with the whole police brutality and the like. So I remember even like this week, actually, it was like on Sunday, just the past Sunday, how like we saw different churches, like now this year they came in accord to condemn whatever is happening in the country, because the Gen Zs,
they started it
and spoke about it.
True.
So with that, I feel like slowly now, even in such kind of things, the church is slowly accommodating the Gen Zs. But now my biggest question will be, because I don't know, you went to church on Sunday?
Yes.
Did your church speak about whatever is happening in the country?
No, apparently. Nah, see, our preaching was totally different from whatever was happening.
Because I feel like that will be my worry of now, yes, even if the churches are speaking about like whatever is happening, because let's be all honest, it's involving Gen Zs. Even online, we were seeing conversations before the 25th. That was on Thursday.
True.
Wednesday.
Yeah.
Parents were saying like, we're praying for our kids. I know we can't go, but our kids will be there.
Yeah.
So my worry is it only in urban churches that the church is also vocal?
Yeah.
What about uko Ushago?
I don't think they're very vocal about it, because I think the notion they normally have is that we don't want to bring politics to church. Like they're not looking at the bigger picture, right? And I think I really love what you've said about the Gen Zs and about how the churches have come up to actually back what the Gen Zs started, is that I think accommodating Gen Zs...
Wait, a moment. Did you just hear that?
What?
Started.
Or...
Hey. Simply.
You guys. Nilisomea majuu.
Okay,
UK,
all right.
Ulisoma majuu kwa kuja kanisa ya Ushago.
Oh, no.
Wow.
You did not. Guys, nikisema nilisomea majuu, I mean United Kiambu.
Oh, okay.
Ama unamaanisha up. Majuu ni up country.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Anyways, so when you were talking about the church backing what the Gen Z started, it is really amazing, and it just marks the entire thing about Gen Zs being bold.
Yeah.
So the churches are accommodating the boldness that comes with the Gen Zs.
Yeah.
Like the Gen Zs are they're like opening up spaces for people to speak up, and they're actually encouraging people to know, by the way, it's not bad for me to speak out and know that this is what I deserve, these are my rights, this is what we should be fighting for. And it's so amazing. Now in local churches, they don't voice that out, because the Gen Zs, first of all, their voice is very silent,
and there are cases. No.
Yeah, we are not as many. And then our parents are scared. They're very scared, and not only about speaking up. At Astoria protest, Mimi guys, Wednesday, I could not get out of the house. Jana. There was no way my parents were willing to let me go and andamana there, though me, I was for it.
Yeah.
But they couldn't allow me, because they're like, we want you to be safe. And we completely understand them. But again, it's a revolution we're seeing here. And I think what the church is afraid of is that revolution, because they don't know how to accommodate it.
Yeah.
They don't know how to roll with it. They their minds, I don't know how I'm supposed to put it.
Yeah.
But you get me, right?
Yeah.
And it is something amazing. And just to shift things a little bit, Baraka has mentioned something about style of music. Let's first dwell there, Kiasi, because that's also another thing that the church has been fighting. The style of music we listen to. Utapata msee anasikiza hip hop, and just because of the beats, anasema unasikiza secular.
Song.
And you've not even listened to the lyrics.
And also because maybe you'll get that hip hop song. Hip hop is rap.
Yeah.
And rap is like, I'm spitting bars upon bars. And when you're spitting, you can't just spit like God is good, ABC. You have to be like ABC, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Easy as that. Jesus set me free.
Yay!
No, those are just lyrics for someone else, not mine. Yeah, so with that, the fact that they can't get their speech when you're naongea raka, when like, are you secular already? Yeah, so I get you.
What's your take, Baraka?
But I feel like in our church, because we also have like artists,
Oh my God.
In the church, like, they accommodate that.
Gas master, atashina akituringia juu ya church yake. I'm coming in hot with mine. Hata sisi tuko na waimbaji.
Yeah, true. Of course, like if you look the things that you can be searching on the internet and what your parents searches on the internet, and let's say if there could be maybe those who are lucky, their parents of their parents are still alive, if there could be conversation with the internet, what they could be looking at, it will be totally different things. So if that already tells us that we all need vitu zenye ziko tofauti. Naget. So also when you get into church, we need to really know. But I see some churches ziko na youth church, ziko na
Yeah.
But there should be a balance.
A balance of it all.
Yeah, there should be a balance of it all. There should be a balance of it all, and everyone should feel accommodated. And actually, but I feel like it's like creating the way people create a toilet of those people who are able differently, which is a very good thing. In fact, I can really see here, even here, they've given them their own place ya kupark and also their toilet.
Yeah.
So in church also, we need to know the kind of people who are there and set for them the activities that they can grow with and feel accepted. Yeah, but it's not like I'm trying to say that now the whole church now should be having everything Gen Z know. Also, the Gen Zs need to know that like any wanna feel accepted. Hata wakimba hizo wimbo za hata wakipreach sermons and singing all those kind of songs.
Yeah.
In a relate with them kabisa. Giving them space also to do other activities. Yeah. So that's what I can say. There should be a balance.
Yeah.
In between.
There should be a balance.
I love the fact that you said about, I don't know, that I've not seen this in our church or the churches have fellowship before.
Yeah.
In that, like, we're having, like, the main service. When the main service is going on, we're having a youth service. Now, this is where, like, I feel like the Gen Zs will drive and everything.
Yeah.
So I'm imagining, like, this is coming from a privileged point.
Yeah.
Like, the church is big enough to be able to have even those different rooms where they could accommodate the youth.
Yeah.
And now the main service that is happening.
True.
And sometimes you get even some churches have have services for those who are, like, for example, like different abled in that they can't hear or something.
Yeah.
So they have a service for them as well in a separate room.
Yeah.
So I'm imagining that church that only can, even having kids on a separate room, is like a hassle for them. So how do they strike a balance in that? We have the kids in church. We have the Gen Zs who are very vocal and want to bring this whole revolution.
Yes.
And now the oldies, sorry if you're an oldie, but you're an oldie well.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I mean our parents and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, that's a very good question. I wouldn't say I have the correct answer to that.
I can just say in all the church inakuanga na leadership and how they plan their things. So in those leadership, or say wanafokwe represented in them. Actually, I think even those churches that began with they have a section of kids, section of Gen Zs and youths. I think they lazima waliwaita kwa meeting wakasema representative wao ndio huyu. So wakakaa kwa meeting wakasema we will prefer vitu zikifanywa hivi. So I believe that incorporating them in the leadership or in the strategic planning of how a church should run will really help to strike that balance.
Yeah,
I feel like today I'm really being poked. Mourinho, I don't know, you're reserving your views for...
Mimi, I'm being neutral here. I'm being very neutral.
Okay, so you've mentioned something about leadership. You know, like, and I'm just thinking right now,
yes.
I can't wait for the days whereby you go to an Anglican church and is it vicar or the vicar? Is a Gen Z. Like, you walk into a Catholic church, the father who's leading the service is a Gen Z.
Oh my God.
I can imagine, like, leadership will change because I feel like there is a lot of things.
Yeah.
There's a whole revolution that will come even in how, like, things are ran in churches.
True. And I guess it's just out of the perception that these religious leaders should be of a certain age.
There's always that. But you know, one day, as Gen Zs, you're going to be those 50-year-olds.
Yeah.
True.
And we are the ones who are going to be like on those leadership positions. They won't be there.
True.
So I can't wait to see the transformation that will come if we'll still take up on what they've been doing, or will bring a whole new change that is accommodating people, that is open-minded. Because I feel like sometimes, like, when you compare our generation with other generations,
True.
like, I feel like in a way they're not like as open to things.
Yeah.
Okay, let me take a Churchill to be like a matatu. So a matatu usually has a conductor, and now the conductor atapokea watu kama sisi, watu wenye we are oldies, sorry. You just spoke about us and ukasema it's unfortunate we are old.
You wish you will be one day.
Yeah, no, when they sing for me happy birthday, they just say, how old are you now? You see, I'm old.
Okay.
Yeah, so there are old people, there are young people inside the matatu. But as a good conductor, you need to know how to, wewe kama ni mzee, ama ni Gen Z, lazima, you have to know how to manage those kind of people.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to say, unaweza kuwa, it's not a must that we find a father. Okay, it's good, and I would love to find a father mwenye ni Gen Z. But also on the other side, the father who's also an oldie should be conscious of what is happening in the world right now. And afajue, these are the kind of people tuna deal now.
Yeah.
And any of them can come. What our needs zao ni gani, our ingine needs zao ni gani. And you can balance now.
Yeah. And that is really, really, really profound. And on that line, now let me just put both your points together.
Okay. Okay.
Y'all are right. So in a case where the leadership has aged people, they should also make room for Gen Z leadership.
Yeah.
Like leaders who represent the young people. Because for them to be informed of the things that are going on in our current generation, they must be in constant communication and communion, since we're talking about church, and communion with the Gen Zs themselves. Like, they should not put themselves in a box.
Yeah.
Like ni wao peke yao. They should also be able to come down to our level, to listen to us, to listen to our views, our opinions. Because at the same time, in as much as they're listening to us, we should also, Gen Zs, we should also be humble enough to learn from them because they have gone ahead of us.
Yeah. True.
And it's something so amazing. And then on the leadership and the Gen Zs, guys, there's a revolution that is happening right now.
Yeah.
There are churches, literally, Gen Zs are starting churches. Me, I know of a certain church that is pastored by a Gen Z.
Oh.
Gen Z International.
Okay.
And these are things that are happening because we are in the last days. We're in the last days, and the Spirit of God is being poured out upon all flesh. Kids are even preaching. Guys, so we shouldn't like
big shout out. Can you talk about Victor?
Yeah, that's small kid. I don't know.
That's small kid. Only that question. Ask Jesus.
Rise and shine and give all His glory. Praise the name of the Lord.
The other day, landed on his TikTok, and I actually follow him on TikTok. And the way he is transformed,
he's
like, the Lord is saying, like, his English
this is what
right
the Lord
now
is saying.
Like his English is now imetoka Nyeli saizi
Hey.
Oh yeah.
That video was. Oh, Victor. I followed up on him since he was a kid.
And then is it Reverend Victor?
Yeah,
Reverend Victor.
I remember.
Right now he's a reverend.
In one of his videos, he was like, mimi wananionaga nikiwa mdogo mwanionaga demwana.
So it was a translation from Kikuyu.
From Kikuyu. Yeah, it was so amazing. So yes, that is the revolution that is happening. And let me tell you, no matter what we do, for as long as God has started this revolution, no one will stop it. And Gen Zs are rising.
Yes.
Very. Because of some of the things that actually, to me, sometimes they don't like add up.
Yeah.
For example, we have like, I've also like gone through this Protestant church. Is it KPCA?
Yeah.
Protestants. Yeah, okay. And na Pentecostal ndo gani? Kaa itu ama?
Ni zote. But they actually Protestant, Pentecostal, they just almost the same thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So those kind of churches, like those with the whole structure and everything. But now you get like there's always a youth department where I now feel like us Gen Zs are mostly accommodated. But again, you feel like you come up with things to give your youth leader, but youth leader is not included on the table of decision making, so that this is what he submits, then the elders of the church, which is still okay.
Yeah.
I don't negate the fact that they have a lot.
Yeah.
They know more than us.
True.
You know. But I feel like there should be a young person who is there, because if they say, chana nayo na maybe indo tunahitaji sana.
Yeah.
You know, so you can imagine like the decision making is being made by people who are not even and are not even like youth per se.
True.
For example, it's like even in our country right now, you get sometimes like departments where it's youth related stuff.
Yeah.
You get like it's an old person who is like 50 years old heading that particular organization, and you're like, wait a minute.
Yeah, true. Nakuget. But it all depends with where it comes from. Maybe when a person has declined something, especially our elders of church, sometimes it may be because they're not vibing to that. Yeah, but for example, I don't know why I'm using examples today. For example, relationships have existed since we were little, since they were little, and since the little were little. So bado inabaki kuwa mwanamke and a man. It has not changed.
Yeah. Even
though they will become Gen Z, Gen ZX, Gen ZX squared, it will be between. Yeah, you see. So they may be something they know about it, the experience. Yes, sisi ni ma Gen Z. But we cannot be experiencing things like as Gen Zs that like we are the first ones into it. So some ideas, maybe they're like, hey, maybe in our time, this thing could work out. So probably we don't know that it existed, or we don't know that is the reason behind that.
Yeah.
But if it comes from a point of, hey, they don't even want to give it a try. They don't even, there's no any genuine reason about why they're not trying to incorporate this thing, then I can say that is coming from a bad place. But it can come from a good place, because they may be knowing something. We are thinking like we are Gen Zs, they cannot be wali experience kitu vile tuli experience. Ama wali experience ki old fashion. But things usually remain. There's nothing new under the moon. Under the sun. Yeah.
That is true. But then that is why there's something called communication.
Yeah.
That is why there's something called communication.
Yeah.
So people should just sit down and talk. We should just sit down and talk. Sides zote mbili, we just humble ourselves and come together and talk.
Yeah.
And say, this is what we want. This is what we feel we want. This is what... and of course, guys, be very guided by the counsel of the Holy Spirit. Yeah, isikwe inatoka from self.
Yeah.
Also looking at, in as much as we are advocating for things concerning only Gen Zs, that we have the oldies too, and they also have to get something from it. So we shouldn't totally like shut them out. The same way, they should also not shut us out completely.
Yeah.
Communication, guys, at a relationship-wise, literally, communication was made... God created communication, of course.
Oh, yeah.
And it was made to be, such a very crucial part of human existence.
Yeah,
right?
True.
So everything, literally everything is built upon the foundation of communication. So the same way our relationship with the Lord is based upon our communication with Him through prayer, through worship and things like those. So we just incorporate that within ourselves. People just sit down and talk.
Yeah. I once read a quote that says that if you're too big to be told, then you're too small to tell people.
Yeah. Come on.
If you feel like you're too big to be told something, then you're too small to even tell people.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I feel like it applies both ways. If you feel like I'm such a Gen Z, like maybe ndio sasa, I don't know, for lack of a better example, if you think you're the Caswell, no shade on Caswell, but we understand where this is coming from, right?
Yeah.
If you think you're the Caswell, then I feel like you bado yujafika, because we saw the repercussions that came. Right now, even juzi yako anaonekana mahali, and even when he's standing to say something about or to speak for the Gen Zs, like no one wants to listen, but there's a point like he was the guy, like go fight for us, we'll back you up. But no, in between things happened. You know, if you think you're that big, and then if you even for now for our elders and everything, if they can't accommodate whatever we are saying, then why are they telling us if they don't want to listen? I feel like well, you said something about communication.
Yeah.
One thing about communication is a two-way traffic.
Yeah, it's a two-way traffic.
You know, there is decoding and encoding.
Yeah. True.
Decoding and decoding.
Utajua je alifanya course ya communication.
Hey.
Come on, guys. We all went through a communication like
unit communication skills.
Introduction to communication.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
The process, the whole process from the sender.
Basics of human communication.
Yeah, it involves that. Like there's a message being passed that goes one side, one end to the end. You know, so it can't be just like a one-way thing.
True.
Manzi hata kwa poster watu walikuwa wanatuma reply.
Yeah. True.
Hey, Gen Zs. Here we are. Na tuko wengi by the way. Tuna dominate hii dunia.
Yeah, I feel like I wish we had a millennial on the pod. I just hear like
to
what
like
they
just
have to
know
say,
their views.
or a baby boom and just get, because right now I feel like when they're listening to this, they're like, those kids.
All in all, let us not forget that there are people who are not actually Gen Zs who have actually been given the burden for Gen Zs.
Yeah.
Oh.
There are people.
Yeah, true.
Shout out to Pastor Tim Wangi.
Yeah.
Oh
Yes.
my God, that man of God just blesses my heart, and he's one man who has really stood for the Gen Zs. Like he really carries us. So let us not lose sight of such people. They exist. They have us in their hearts. Yeah, and
there's also this guy from, I don't know, is it Rain City, who like the Gen Z for Jesus gigs. I don't know if you've seen them.
oh, Pastor Damon,
Yeah,
Apostle Damon.
yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen him.
Him and is it Rain City and another church called City Light? Yeah, with Apostle Dekno.
Okay.
Yeah, they've been having a very amazing movement. Gen Z Loves Jesus. They've done it in Nairobi. They've done it in, is it Nakuru?
Yeah, I think so.
And I think there's another one coming in Mombasa or something.
Oh, that will be dope. I feel like people who are going to be there, it's like mostly Nairobians, because you know Nairobians, when you hear anything to do with the coast,
yeah,
you're like,
they don't want to say what ataka Costico mob. They'll just be there.
Oh my God.
Doesn't matter with the cost.
Oh my God.
Because Jesus paid it all though. Yeah.
Nakwambia jokes za Baraka are only for the strong. They're only for the they're only for the strong. Anyways, as we wrap up, I'd just like us to give final comments, because I think we've put a full stop on this conversation.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so final comments.
Yeah, so for anyone who's listening to this and perhaps you're not a Gen Z, this is just coming out. It's not coming out from a point of we want just to rule, but it's coming out from a place that we want just to be heard and to be with you guys. We want to stay together. We want to worship Jesus together. But our point of concern is that we also have our own concerns, and it's not like we don't want to align in what you guys are doing. We love them, but our generation has another kind of strategies. There's the way that we roll, and it could be better if we could get guidance from you as we incorporate into our system and we incorporate into your system. That's what I can say.
You know, you've said like there's a way that we roll. I feel like the word would be, our generation has its vibe, you know.
Yeah. The gas master and vibes. The gas master and vibes. All right. Tupeleke na vibe.
Okay. Yeah, just to echo whatever
the deputy just said.
Oh, it's giving high school.
Yeah. So it's just like a matter of, it's not like we want to come and now be the people running these spaces, but we want it to be from a point of whatever we are doing also in church. It's from, is it consensus? Is consensus the right word? Like we have agreed both ways. Like I've been heard, you've been heard, we've come to a consensus, I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Come on. We've come at a catapult.
Hey.
All right.
I'm Peter English.
That's hard to decipher.
I'm Peter English. All right, okay.
Umetumia ni za UN hizo politicians zenye unatumianga wa UN. Yeah, so it's a matter of just getting to listen both ends, and we come to an agreement of this is supposed to be, these are the repercussions of doing this and this.
Yeah.
Make me understand. Don't just tell me no and you didn't tell me why. I feel like these are the only places, nowadays how people are saying, like, you don't have to explain yourself. These are the places now where we need explanations.
Yeah.
Or you need to explain yourself. When you say a no, tell me it's a no and why.
Yeah.
And also want to know why for me it's a yes and why the yes.
Yes.
So that we try gauge both sides of the coin and we come to an understanding.
To a
and with
catapult.
that, we'll be able to move on swiftly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is amazing. Anyways, mine is just to say that as we embrace communication, let us also embrace accountability.
Okay.
For both parties, we all need to be accountable. And above all, let us keep sight that it is all about Jesus. It is not about us. It is all about the Lord, making him known, spreading his gospel. And like Paul said, that I become all things, so that the gospel might reach every corner of the world. So that was it from us, from the people in the room. And once again, this podcast airs every Friday at 11 a.m. and repeats on Saturdays at 3 p.m. Text us on our text line 0702-969-969. My name is Maureen Juguna. See you in the next episode.
People in the Room on Pearl Radio 96.9 FM every Friday at 11 a.m. and the repeat is on Saturday at 3 p.m. because we are all in this together.
Pearl Radio 96.9 FM, the home of fresh and classic hits.